Let's talk about some examples from loans, payments, credit cards, and mortgages. The first one I want to do is you need a loan of $100,000 to buy your new home. The bank offers a choice of 30-year loans at an APR of 5% and a 15-year loan at 4.5%. Compare your monthly payments and the total loan costs under the two options. Assume that the closing costs are the same in both cases. Therefore, you don't have, or you do not have effect on the choice. So, okay, let's calculate both. So let's do the 31 first. I'm going to scroll down and get myself some space right here. So what I have, we're going to use this formula because we're calculating the payment first. So I have my principal times my APR over N, all divided by, in bracket, 1 minus, parenthesis, 1 plus the APR divided by N, all raised to a negative N times Y. And let's talk a little bit more about it. So what is my principal? Well, my principal is going to be the $100,000. What is my APR? Well, if we're doing the 30 years, my APR was going to be the 5%, and we're going to write it in decimal. So it's 0.05. N, what is N? N is going to be the times, like 12 months, because you're going to make monthly payments. So that means 12 months per year. How many years? Well, we said let's start off with 30. Knowing all this, let's just plug it in. 100,000 times 0.05 divided by 12 all over, and then let's just plug in the rest down here. All right. And that's a negative right here on this 12 times that 30. And if you need to do it in parts, I would. I'm going to just in case. So on the numerator, I'm going to clean up that decimal right quick. So I'm going to have 100,000 times this 0.05 divided by 12. And it gives me out. I'm going to leave it in fraction form. Or you can write it in decimal if you want. It's going to be a yucky number, but if I leave it in fraction form, it's 1 2/40. Basically, that means that 100,000 will be divided by it. I'm going to take that and multiply it by the 100,000. So now I have in my numerator, I have 416.6 repeating. All right, don't round right now. And if you don't like that number, I get it, but I wouldn't round right now. You can just write the 6 and put a bar over it and know that you need to scratch when you calculate the remaining part. You need to do that. But anyways, so now I have, let's clean up the bottom. So I have 1 minus, let's figure out what's in that parenthesis. So I have 1 plus that fraction. All right, so now that's going to give me 1.00416, and the 6 is repeating for a little while. And this can be raised to the power, and it's a negative power 12 times 30, which is a negative 360. Now, let's get our new. So let's take 1 minus, and don't forget that parentheses is the only thing being raised to that power. And negative 360. All right. So now I get in the denominator 0.776173407. Be careful on the numbers you work with. I mean, if you round, don't round. I would at least go out 6 places or 7 before I rounded, because you can be off by 10ths of a point or 100ths of a point. So let's calculate the payment. We are almost done here. So we're going to take that top number, divide it by that bottom number. And I'm going to go ahead and round this one here to the nearest hundreds. So we are talking about money. So my payment would be $536.82. That's not bad. Now let's figure out the total loan. So on that line up here, let's go ahead and write that $536.82. Now let's figure out the total loan cost. So to figure that out, we're going to take that $536.82, multiply it by 12 months, multiply it by 30 years. And now we're going to end up paying a total $193,255.20. And that's what's going to go on the other line. Now the total loan, and that's the total loan. Okay, so we know that one. So we can fill in that blank. Now let's figure out the 15 years, and then we're going to compare. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. The only thing that changes from this column here is going to be the APR and the Y. So my APR here is going to be 4.5%, which gives me what? $0.045, and then my Y is going to become 15. So let's just plug it in. So I got 100,000 times 0.045 divided by 12, all divided by. And then we're going to just finish writing it in. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and get my numerator. So I got 100,000 times that fraction. And that's all divided by, in the denominator, 1 minus. Don't forget, if you're typing it all in at once, don't forget to use parentheses. And raised to the power of, I got negative 12 times 15. Okay, so I end up with a payment of $764.99. Now the total loan, we're going to take that $764.99 times 12 times 15. And I get 13,769,82.2. I'm going to say the best option is going to be the 15 years. You're going to pay less money. So if I was to subtract the difference, let's see how much we're going to pay. We're actually going to save by going 15 years. We're going to say 55,557. So I'm going to say the 15 years is the best options. Yes, you're going to pay around $220 something more. So, I mean, if you want to be technical, we can actually subtract the difference in the payments. But you're going to pay around $228.17 more a month. But you're going to pay for half the year. So you're going to pay 15 years, and you're going to pay a huge difference, $55,557 difference by choosing the 15 years. Okay. Part B said, you have, okay, so part B goes to the example above, guys, it's just like the example above. You're going to borrow the same amount. You're going to have 30 years. You're going to have a different APR. And on the 15 years, you're going to have 7%. So I'm encouraging you, based upon the example above, try this one out on your own. Holler at me if you have any questions. Let's go on to example 7. So on example 7, it says that Great Bank offers a 100,000 year payment. Sorry, not payment, $100,000 for 30 years fixed rate loan with closing costs of 500 plus 1 point. Big Bank offers a lower rate of 4.75% on a 30-year loan, but with closing cost of 100 or with 1,000 plus 2 points. Evaluate the two options. Okay, so let's solve this one. We're going to evaluate the two options on this one. So when we're looking at it, we notice again that it's going to have the $100,000 loan, right? And it's going to be for 30 years at a 5% fixed rate. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to, first thing first, I'm going to take the closing costs. And I'm going to say, okay, the closing cost is what? It's 500 plus 1 point. Well, how do we calculate the 1 point? So what I know, 1 point means 1%. This means 1% of this 100,000. So I'm going to write it out right here, 0.01 times that 100,000. Okay, so let's calculate that right quick. So I have 500 plus, and in parentheses, 0.1 times 100,000. And that's going to give me 1,500. Okay. Now that's going to be this Great Bank's closing cost is 1,500. Now let's figure out the Big Bank's closing cost. We're going to do the same thing, except for you notice it was 2 points. So it means it's 2% of this here. So closing cost again, we're going to take the 1,000 because they said that you had to pay 1,000 with 2 points plus 2 times that 0.01 times 100,000. Now I said times 1. I know it's 2%, but we're acknowledging that we're going to take the 2 times that. So we're going to go ahead and multiply 1% to this 100,000 and then times it to 2. Because each point is 1% of it. Okay, so let's do that. So what do we get now? So I got 100,000, or excuse me, 1,000. Sorry, I jumped the gun. 1,000 times 2 times 0.01 times that 100,000. And let's double check again. So we got 0.01 times 100,000 times 2 plus that 1,000. Watch your zeros too. It's easy. Like I have to count mine sometimes, especially when I have a lot of zeros. So that's going to be 3,000. So I want you to take the example above and figure out and calculate part B. And again, holler at me if you have any questions. Let's do example 8. Example 8 says an alternate strategy to the mortgage option. In example 6 is to take the 30-year loan at 5%, but to try to pay it off in 15 years by making large payments than are required. Okay, so that's one way to get out of it faster. To carry out this plan, how much would you have to pay each month? All right, so let's calculate that. So we're going to use that formula, payment formula. Again, we have the principal times the APR divided by N, all divided by this 1 minus this parenthesis. And you may have this one memorized. We've done it so much. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in what I know. So based upon the one that was given to us from above, we have the 100,000 principal. In this one here, we have an APR of 0.05 because it's 5%. We're going to do monthly payments. So it's going to be 12. And let's raise it to negative 12 times, and we're wanting to pay it off in 15 years. So this will give us an idea about how much to overpay. And I'm going to just type it all in at once. If you need to do it in steps, that's fine. Just make sure you use the appropriate parentheses. And it says that we need to pay $790.79 a month, right, in order to get this paid off. So to pay off a 30-year loan in 15 years, our monthly payments need to be around $790. Where you saw earlier it was $536, right? So part B says, suppose you have a student loan of $60,000 with an APR of 8% for 25 years. So what are the required monthly payments? So let's off. We're going to use the same formula we used above. So I'm just going to go ahead and acknowledge this is my principal. This is my APR, and we're going to write it in decimal form. This is my Y. Again, N is 12. So when we plug this all in, our formula, okay. That should be 25. I was using parentheses to separate the 12 and 25. You don't have to. So my writing's kind of messy. So now I'm going to calculate this right quick. So my numerator, I get, okay, 60,000. Double check your numbers. If it don't look right, then you might have typed something in wrong. 400. My denominator, and I get my denominator. Okay, and let's divide this out, round to the nearest cent. So now I got 400 divided by 0.86376,484. And that gives me approximately $436.09. Sorry about that. Gotta be careful. I didn't leave myself enough room. 9 cents. Okay, so that's about how much I need to pay, per month. All right. If you decide to pay, and guys, remember, student loans, they accumulate, they draw interest monthly. So you got to check to see how much of your payment's going towards principal versus how much it's going towards interest, because that will also calculate on how long it takes you to pay it off, or if you can pay it off. So just make sure and check that. And that's the same with credit cards too. Right, if you decide to pay off the loan in 15 years instead of 25, we're going to calculate that. So we're going to take that same formula here, and right here where we put 25, we're going to just put 15. So what do I got? 60,000 times 0.08 divided by 12 all over. And then raise it to negative 12. I was writing it like this on the one above, but my writing kind of got sloppy there. All right, let me type this in my calculator. I'm going to type it all in at once. We need to double check. And it says in order to pay it off early, we need to pay $573.39. And this is if and only if the interest is just not drawn at a crazy rate. Okay, guys. So when you compare the total amounts to each other to see which one's the best option, what we can do is take the amount that we're going to pay for the 25 years per month, which is $463.09, multiply it by 12, multiply it by 25. And what does it give us? So 463.09 12 times 25. It's going to say $138,927. All right, now let's figure out the interest. Let's figure out the next one, interest. So I'm going to take that total, subtract the amount that we actually borrowed. And this is going to tell me how much paying in interest. So you're paying $78,927 in interest. It's crazy. Now let's figure out the 15 years. We're going to pay $573.39 times 12 months times 15 years. 573.39 times 12 times. All right. So now I get $210.20. All right. Now to find the interest, take this here, take that total amount. Let's subtract what you borrowed. And it's going to be $43,210.20. That's still a lot of money, but the 15 years will be a better deal.